Warning: the following episode of Orsini's Uncensored Mind contains explicit language and adult content. The thoughts and opinions stated on the show are reflective of AJ Orsini and his guests exclusively. Seriously, guys, the show's called Uncensored. If you got a problem with bad language, I really don't give a shit. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, AJ Orsini, your host here, and I've got to tell you, I'm about to do something I swore I would never do. I'm about to do something I swore I thought to myself I could never do. I am about to dedicate 60 full action-packed minutes, possibly a little more, possibly a little less. Don't hold me to the number, but it sounds great in the opening segment. 60 solid, rock-hard, very awkward, stilted minutes of New Japan Pro Wrestling and its big show, Wrestle Kingdom 14. I am about to embark on an adventure here, and I might fuck up a few times, but Jesus Christ, follow me along for this goddamn ride, folks. It's going to be fantastic.
Welcome to Orsini's Uncensored Mind, and now your host, AJ Orsini.
How the hell is everybody out there? This is your boy, your main man, your job soul brother from another mother, your host of Orsini's Uncensored Mind. I am AJ Orsini, and I am here to bequeath unto all of you episode 123. 123 ABC. This is episode 123, episode 120 goddamn 3. My God in heaven. Does the boy ever miss a day? Does the boy ever miss a day? Does the boy ever take time for himself? The answer is yeah. I take a few days. I record on different days, and I take vacations, and I spend time with my family. Anywho, this is going to be released on January 11th, which is 1 full week after one of the greatest professional wrestling events in the history of mankind that takes place every year, annually, in the month of January. Of course, I am referring to New Japan's Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom Wrestle Kingdom 14. That is the big event that just took place last weekend, and it took place on a two-day event. A two-day event that took place. Now, I'm going to preface everything right now. I'm going to do some explaining. Then I'm going to tell you where we're headed with all this, okay? Because I think it's very, very, very important that I explain a few things before we get into this. First and foremost, I mentioned that I never thought I would do this. And the reason why I never thought I would do this is because I don't follow Japanese wrestling like this. I just don't. I watch it from time to time, and I appreciate it. I damn near love it, but not enough to obsess and to follow it as much as I do, or as much as most people would do. I gotta tell you, I the last Wrestle Kingdom that I saw in completion, because to be honest with you, I've seen Wrestle Kingdoms in the past, and I'll be honest with you, I saw pretty much the preferred matches, the matches that I was kind of interested in seeing. And that's pretty much it. I've never really sat through an entire Wrestle Kingdom show. One time it happened. My wife and I did it together. She was a true soldier that day. Wrestle Kingdom 9. We stood up all night like one of those young boys, like one of you young guns out there, and watched the entire show. And while good, it was a good show, borderline great if you think about it. Now that I look back on it, definitely not enough for me to commit and repeat that little situation. So, yeah. So I never really did it again as far as, staying up like these hardcore New Japan Pro Wrestling fans do. And I respect you, and I love you, but Daddy needs to sleep. Elsewise, Daddy get cranky. And then that Daddy starts fucking up the lives of every human being he meets the day after Wrestle Kingdom. So, on behalf of society, you're welcome that I don't stay up. But I do get the chance to watch it at a later date. Now, let's start first and foremost with how. AJ, how on earth did you get a chance to see this incredible pro wrestling show? Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. I tell you exactly how I did it. I am now the lucky subscriber of NJPW 1972 account here, New Japan World. I subscribed so that I may be able to see the shows in their entirety. So I don't know if I'll be keeping it, but I do currently have it. I know you're saying to yourself, oh, did you really pay just for Wrestle Kingdom? Yeah, I pretty much did, I guess. And that's how I have it. So I was able to watch what proceeded to be a 2-night event. Now, 2 nights and a lot of pre-show matches, but if you think about it, only about 7 made-card matches, which sounds about right. Because if you put the 2 shows together, that's about 14 matches, and that's usually what you get at a fucking Wrestle Kingdom. Just match after match after match. It's a lot like WrestleMania, only in the sense that you try to get as many people on the card as possible. It's the big thank you. It's the you've been working all year. You've been working all year reward to get on the card, to get in front of the biggest audience you'll be in front of all year round, with the lights on brightest, like JBL used to say, and get a chance to perform in one of the most historic, if not probably the most historic, wrestling facility in the entire world. That claim has been held by several buildings over the course of time here in pro wrestling. I believe the Garden at some point also held that prestige. As a New Yorker, I will tell you, it no longer holds that. Madison Square Garden is a piece of shit, and it's been a piece of shit for quite some time. And they're treating it like a piece of shit now. No one wants to go into that building. It's too fucking expensive to go in there. And to be honest with you, it's expensive for no reason because it's a fucking dump. I far and away love Barclay more, even though Barclay looks like an actual piece of shit hanging off of not too far from where I live here. On the corner or intersection of Atlantic Ave and Flatbush Avenue. It looks like a rustic piece of actual calcified shit. It is a horrible looking building from the outside. Whenever I see Raws and SmackDowns, when they do that live shot of the building, I'm like, what a beautiful facility. And then you see our lump of shit sitting in the middle of this place, and it's kind of, it's disgusting in a way when you really think about it. But anywho, the inside of Barclay is pretty fucking spectacular, actually. It's pretty nice. I wish the outside reflected the inside. But that's another story for another day. So, let's get into this. I'm not going to bullshit around with you guys. There's obviously clearly a lot to fucking talk about here. I'm still prefacing, though. So, we're going to talk about each match, but we're not going to go over each match. What I mean by that is I'm not going to sit here and break down holds for you. We're not going move for move. We're not talking, I'm not calling the action here after the fact. This is not one of those reviews where we sit down and start breaking down move for move and why that didn't work and why that did work or blah, 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 blah. I have no interest in that. I wrote down a shit ton of notes considering each match because I think a little something funny or a little something interesting happened in each match. And to be honest with you, there were a few matches that I saw that dragged me into a speaking point. I started shooting some promos about some of the stuff I saw because it led me to other topics like spin-off. I was watching things here that reminded me of AEW, some things from WWE, so problems, pros, cons, a lot of different directions in which they can go. Let's start off first of all by stating the statistics here. Of course, this is it was a 2-day event, which if I'm not mistaken is the first time they've done this. Again, I'm talking at my ass here. I don't follow this company the way a lot of other people do, so I'm just going to put that out there. I believe that this is the first time that they've done this, where they've gotten the Tokyo Dome for 2 straight nights here, January 4th, January 5th. The attendance, which is huge as a part of this conversation going forward, they're estimating about 40,008. That's an odd number there. Now, I mean literally odd, isn't weird. For night 1, 40,008. Literally 40,008. Night 1. Night 2 was a drop-off, 30,063, which gives you a grand total of 70,071 people who stopped by and paid tickets to see Wrestle Kingdom 14. Now, obviously, I believe that attendance is reflective of tickets sold, which means for people who had dual tickets, that number might be a little lower, but still not bad. 70,000 tickets sold. That's still an impressive feat for any show, especially when it comes to pro wrestling in 2020, which is the year that we're in. Several taglines to this. Obviously, one of the big storylines coming out of this pay-per-view leading into it. Jushin Thunder Liger's last appearance and last professional wrestling matches. He opened up both shows, night 1 and night 2. Of course, night 2, I couldn't deal. Sorry, I got to that point. I got a little teary-eyed, and it was a little overwhelming. But I said my piece about Jushin Thunder Liger on the last show, so we're not going to go through that again. So those are some of the numbers going into this. Obviously, the big storyline, I just said the big storyline was Jushin Thunder Liger. There were many, Jushin being one of the biggest. But this whole show is predicated on another first. Double champion situation where the IWGP Championship would be on the line in night 1 with Okada defending against Ibushi, who was the winner of this year's G1 Climax tournament, and Jay White defending his IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Tatsuya Naito. Now, there's a lot of backstory between these guys. I'm learning about this story as we go, but I do recall, as far as this main event situation goes, I do recall Naito getting a shot at Okada at Wrestle Kingdom I think it was 2 years ago or 1 year ago. I think it mentioned on the show that it was about 2 years ago, and falling a little bit short. So for these guys to be on a collision course, it definitely was interesting, the storylines going into this, because a lot of this stuff is in Japanese. And they do translate some of it. Not everything gets translated. Some promos, some things do, and some things don't. So it's hard to keep track storyline-wise of what's going on. But I have to say, even in watching the promos in Japanese, when these guys deliver promos, you're really into them. You don't know exactly what they're saying, but you're still feeling the emotion from these guys when they deliver their promos. That's saying something, because for a group of people that aren't speaking a language that I understand, for them to give me a very clear-cut universal sign as wrestlers, to be able to follow along with them still, is actually very, very, very interesting, and I'm actually very, very impressed by it, to be honest with you. I didn't know what they were saying, but by the end of the promo, the way that it was delivered, the cadence, I was ready to fucking fight. I'm ready to go. That was the thrill for a lot of this stuff, and I got to see some of the pre-show. Yes, I went back to the pre-show, baby, and I spotted something in the pre-show that I absolutely wanted to talk about here, so we'll start here, okay, since we're going to go down the line. I'm going to start pre-show, not with the matches, but from a snapshot that I took from my screen. I have the snapshot in front of me from New Japan World. I had to take this screenshot because it was hilarious to me. Because they gave these commercials throughout the pre-show letting people know kind of the rules of conduct and etiquette inside the Tokyo Dome throughout the course of the event, right? So there's this live stream going on. They're streaming it from their app, and it's got the date, all kinds of information on here. And it has a lot of rules in Japanese with English translation underneath. So they were doing all these cool little commercials of people doing stupid stuff and then getting caught and then arrested and put into jail. They were really pushing this agenda that if you do something stupid, we're going to fuck you up and we're going to lock you up, because there is none of that to be tolerated here. Pro wrestling in Japan is with honor. We don't tolerate none of that tomfoolery here in the Tokyo Dome. And I have the screenshot in front of me. I need to read these 4 rules to it. It's 4. I love the fact that the top has the logo with the Japanese lettering, of course. It says key points. Okay, so these are key points, and I'm going to print this, and I'm going to start handing this out to every fucking promoter that I work for so they could post this shit up in their buildings before shows. These are the 4 key points. You ready? 1, only watch from your own seat. Stop moving around and stop blocking other people's view. 2nd, don't stand on your seat and don't block entrance ramps or walkways. Don't be in the fucking way, folks. Number 3, no audio or video recording. Your equipment will be confiscated. They will steal. If they catch you recording the fucking show, they will take your shit. That is huge. I'm for this. Number 4, don't trouble fellow fans. You could get thrown out. So basically, rule 1, stay in your fucking seat. Rule 2, don't be in the fucking way. Rule 3, don't steal our shit and put it on the internet. And rule number 4, don't be a dick. I think these should be general fucking rules that should be followed in every wrestling arena around the fucking world. I want to print this. I have this snapshot on my computer. I'm reading this snapshot. It's a picture. It's literally here. I don't have to go back to the app to see it. It's right fucking in front of me. I want this fucking picture posted everywhere. Please follow these rules, folks, and you too can be a superstar fan, okay? We need the best fans in the world, and that's how you get them, all right? Following these simple rules. I thought that was outstanding, so I figured we start with that shit. All right, so here we go. Night 1, okay? And I'm not doing any of the pre-show matches. Trust me, there's plenty of fucking matches to talk about here. So night 1, we essentially start with an all-star game right off the bat, okay? Like I said before, they opened up each show with Jushin Thunder Liger's last matches, and night 1 was an 8-man tag. Now, folks, again, I don't follow Japanese wrestling like this, so the names are going to fuck with me, okay? Now, some of them I'm familiar with, like Shinjiro Otani. I know who Shinjiro Otani is, okay? Familiar with his work, obviously, all right? Naiko Sano. I'm just going to go with Takawaya and Ryosuke Taguchi. Okay, and they were accompanied to the ring by Kuniaki Kobayashi. All right, now this was a very formidable, seasoned team. Okay, this is the more that these guys. I loved, by the way, the commentary. I didn't get a chance to grab the names because I know Kevin Kelly, but the other guys escaped me. The commentary was just so on point. This was just such enjoyable commentary. They offered so much information and knowledge, and I was just learning so much about the guys coming out. Again, I don't follow it like everybody else. So a lot of the older guys, obviously Jushin's team, I actually knew every single member of Jushin's team. It was his opponents that I didn't know that much about. The other team, Jushin Thunder Liger, obviously captained Tatsumi Fujinami, the Great Sasaki, and Tiger Mask, or at least the current version of Tiger Mask. I know obviously all of those performers and familiar with all their work, and I was thinking in my head in commentary form because every time a former WWE guy came out, they would throw these facts around. It's the English commentary, right? So they got to put over their top brand, whatever. But Tatsumi Fujinami, I remember that name. I got to see a few of his matches, obviously, throughout the course of the years. He's a legend. Of course, you have seen his matches, but he's held WWE Gold before. He is one of the original, if not the original, I'd have to look back, WWF Light Heavyweight Champions. They did not mention that, which means I probably did not know that, but I know that. So I wanted to say it on my show so I can come off with a little bit of knowledge, right? So yeah, Fujinami, obviously a legend all around Japan, but a legend all around the world. I want that picture to be drawn a little bit bigger. Jushin takes the fall to the King of Bum style, Ryusake, which I have to admit, that last sequence when he did all the Shinsuke stuff with the guitar, and then he looked like through his legs and then dropped that big ass right in his face. I chuckled. It was good. It was fun. It was a good time when you watch this match. I also wanted to make the comparison. I wrote a bunch of notes here. I wrote old guys looking good. What a fucking difference. Japanese veterans and American veterans. It's such a drop-off for American veterans. When you get American veteran wrestlers at the same age as those guys, they don't look that good. Those guys still look like if they really wanted to, they could go to the main event and work a young team anywhere on the card, and they'd fuck them up. They looked really, really good. Jushin, which is funny because it's Jushin's retirement match. All the other guys, I would think it was Kevin Kelly, was like, all these guys are still active. Jushin is the one retiring, and he looked the best. And I was like, wow, talking about getting out on top. That's pretty good. I actually wanted to do a special shout-out, special guest referee, Norio Hagana, who apparently was huge in Liger's career. Refed a lot of his matches. There were a lot of time spent for Jushin Thunder Liger inside the Tokyo Dome. So all these guys came in. And I wanted to point out one thing. They mentioned Shinjiro Otani's legacy, but his history, I should say, with New Japan Pro Wrestling when he left to help found 01. I want you guys to keep that one in mind because we're going to get back to that later. That's a little pin Put a pin in that one. There were a couple of situations where things were discussed throughout this match about some of this talent leaving New Japan to go start their own promotions in Japan, for better or for worse, successful or fail. They tried, and they left the company, and here they were again, welcomed back with open arms. We will get back to that. I may have already tipped my hand as it was just saying that, but yes, Jushin Thunder Liger is the man here who takes the fall, going out on his back like a true professional. It was a pretty good matchup. We move on to the next match, which is yet another 8-man tag team match. Suzuki Gun, represented by Zack Sabre Jr., Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, and El Desperado, taking on the team of, I cannot pronounce this fucking team's name. I have been trying, and I know you're probably going to kill me for this because it's all the cool kids are saying it. But I was trying, and I was even bringing my wife in on this, and because I thought I had it. I was saying Los Incomparables, Marbles, something like that. I thought I had it for a little bit, and then I heard them say it on the thing, and it sounded way different than the way that I was saying it. So I'm not even going to institute the level of disrespect it would take to fuck up their name any worse than I have been over the course of the last week trying to get this name together. I cannot. If I was a ring announcer and I had to ring announce them, I would probably be putting more effort into learning their name, but I tried. I literally tried a few times to get this right, and it just comes out stupid. So, you know who I'm talking about. Cold Skull, Sonata, Evil, Shingo, Takagi, and I'm struggling here. Bushi. There you go. But that Bushi's the easy one. But Takagi, Shingo. I just call him Shingo. I honestly didn't know he had a last name. I always just thought it was Shingo. Because every time I talk about him and every time I see his matches, I just see Shingo. But again, this is my first time really watching the new guys for the first time as far as the whole show. So this one was a little bit different than the old one, obviously. And it showed me something else. A lot of the old guys that were very celebrated in the first match, the older guys, very celebrated. They came out, what was it, black trunks, some simple boots, a windbreaker jacket, whatever the case may be, not really gussied up or whatever. And, they came out, and they came out to great responses. This second match, the 8-man, had a bunch of guys wearing light-up masks and smoke and fucking horns and fish hooks that came out of their asses and wing gliders attached to their fucking skin. And I think somebody had an actual adamantium cage inserted into his fucking stomach. His entrances got really weird. And I'm on match 2. As the night progressed, these entrances got even fucking weirder. But the presentations clearly changed. I actually missed a note here. Sake, the great Sasaki, coming out to a split Liger Sasuke mask was actually pretty cool. Because I put a note here about masks. Everybody here had a fucking mask. Sonata had a mask. Evil had a mask. Everybody here had a fucking mask. My biggest takeaway from this matchup, as good as it was, is something that I've already known. But man, did it really solidify it. Shingo is a fucking monster. Shingo is a fucking beast. The more I watched him, the more impressed I got. And I just went, Jesus fucking Christ. If I'm going to watch anyone as often as I watch the American people, if I had to choose right now, it would probably be Shingo. And the more wrestling I watched on this show, the more I kept going back to him, saying, oh, Jesus, I would have loved to have seen more of him on this show. So that was the 8-man tag there. I believe, yes, Zack Sabre Jr. walked away with the submission win on that one. I have a bone to pick with Sabre, but I'll pick that bone on night 2 in his singles match because I was very, very confused. Because he came to the ring with a Rev Pro Heavyweight Championship, but they kept calling it the British Heavyweight Championship, and I'm very confused by that. But we'll talk about that just a little bit later on. But yeah, Shingo is a fucking monster. These entrances are great. I know I just shat on them a second ago. They are great, but they just seem like a bit much compared to the other one. I don't know. Back to back, when you put them back to back, it just looked weird. Third match here, another 8-man tag. So we're gonna attempt here, right? So Chaos was represented here. This was faction warfare. So Chaos represented by Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Toriano, and Yoshihashi. They defeated Bullet Club members Kenta, Bad Luck Fale, Yohiro Takahashi, and Chase Owens. Bullet Club, by the way, did not fare very well here at Wrestle Kingdom. More on that later on. But yeah, so this was their representation. This was like NWOB squad against Chaos here. So Chaos winning this fucking matchup was a good thing. They came out to the ring from a couple of rugby players that I was going to try to grab their name. I didn't really get the chance, but I thought that was cool in the sense of like that was the first time I've watched Wrestle Kingdom where I felt WrestleMania vibes because it's like, because to those guys, to that audience, those are fucking celebrities, right? Fucking rugby team, that's pretty cool. And of course, that bunny, they were calling her Petra, pretty hottie with a body. It's my I've seen her before in pictures. I didn't know what her name was. Obviously had to give her a like on the Instagram, you know what I'm saying? But after seeing that entrance, I have to give that one a like. I would like to see more of that in my IG story, but that's neither here nor there. I was kind of hoping like, oh, what if she was super badass, like she did some other cool shit. Did not though. She just played her role, which is good. Nothing wrong with that. She just played her role. In this match, it was an 8-man tag, fast, furious, in and out wrestling. I mean, it was, when you do 3 8-mans in a row, it's kind of hard for people to sit here and just go, all right. Bad Luck Fale is my spirit animal, the Rogue General here. I fucking love this guy. I love this guy to death. I wish he was my grandpa. I just wish I could just come to him and come for wisdom, and he just verbally destroys me and ruins my self-esteem on a daily basis. Like one of those things where it's like I'm just useful to him so long as I keep feeding beer to him, He just seems like one of those ordinary son of a bitches that just never happy about nothing. They did a fantastic job. If I could take anything away from the 8-man tags throughout, even though there was far too much action to really sit here and break down, a lot of these multi-mans set up night 2 very, very well. Goto obviously going against Kenta for the Never Open Championship. So they did a lot of talk about that, and Goto coming out with a new attitude and a little bit more aggressive. They set the stories up really, really nice, even down to the first match with Jushin Liger. It was a tale of two tapes, and we'll get to that in night 2, but Jushin was a different man on night 2 than he was on day 1, and we'll get to that. So after all the 8-man scrambles were fucking done and over with, we move on to the IWGP World Tag Team Championship. The GOD, the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, defending the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship against FinJuice, which was the winners of that big tag tournament they have over there. Juice Robinson, David Finlay, FinJuice got together. I have a couple of comments about this. First of all, GOD, fantastic. Obviously, everyone knows that. I've gotten a chance to see them work a few times. I am sad that their biggest claim to fame this year here in the States was some bullshit storyline that they were forcing on them that time at the Garden. But they apparently, I know that they were tag champs for a while. I didn't know it was well over 300 days, almost a year. I think leading up to Wrestle Kingdom, they were about 350, something like that they said. And it was their 5th reign, which means these fucking guys are for real. They're clearly one of the better tag teams that New Japan has had in a long time. Juice Robinson looks fucking great. Okay, I haven't seen him since the CJ Parker days. I've seen a few of his promos in New Japan. I haven't had a chance to sit through full matches. So seeing him tonight, he looks fucking fantastic. Great shape. If anything, I think he may have gotten fucking bigger over in Japan. He looks fantastic. Ring entrance was great. He's got great chemistry with his tag partner. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he went through a singles run before he wound up on this team. So he's had some experience. I know that him and Moxley went at it for the U.S. title. There's been some stuff going on between that, and I think we're going to, they also competed night 2. So we'll talk more about that in night 2, but he looked fantastic. I haven't seen him in a while, and he looked good, moved around, gave the Gorillas almost 14 minutes of action. So it was really, really good. I enjoyed that match. I love the promo leading up to it, especially that build-up with Thomas saying, all year long, every time we were put in a corner and we were asked to defend ourselves, we did so. We deliver every single time. So why not deliver on the biggest stage, I I think the whole thing totally made fucking sense. I love the build up to it, and I love the execution. Just dope match all around. And to be honest with you, despite how listening to a whole bunch of themes throughout the course of the 2 nights, 3 songs stuck in my head for the last week: Okada's theme, Liger's theme, and the fucking Gorillas. That ain't nobody realer than Gorilla. That song was hot. I enjoyed it. That was great. I had a great time listening to that fucking track. I found it on YouTube. It's on my phone now. I just that shit is hot. I don't want to play it right now because I've been getting in trouble with copyright stuff recently, so I'm not gonna play it now. But it's a dope song. So after that, we move on. For some oddball reason, we've got a Texas death match in Japan, being contested under last man standing rules. That's pretty much how that goes. Victory by 10 count or knockout or submission. And I believe we had a 10 count situation. Jon Moxley coming over to compete for a U.S. championship he never lost. The IWGP rules specifically state if you cannot make an appearance or scheduled defense due for any reason, travel or anything else, you are to vacate the championship, in which he complied and did. But as soon as they were able to, they fit him back in for a rematch, and here we are, Wrestle Kingdom 14. Jon Moxley and Lance Archer actually have a weird history because they don't have a history, but they kind of do have a weird history. I think people sometimes forget that Lance Archer is a former WWE superstar. I don't think he ever ascended to that level, but he's got experience in the WWE as well. And here's another guy, and I put him on that Juice Robinson situation where he looks fantastic. I'm not going to lie, when he did his whole entrance here and he gets on the second rope and he's pulling the belt, he looked a little Mojo Rawley-ish in the face. That was just something that I thought of when I was watching this. I was like, oh my God, he looks a little fucking Raleigh and Mojo-ish. It's a Texas death match. It's 10 count. I mean, they went in there and they did whatever they were gonna do. I'm not huge on hardcore matches with no backstory and no, if you're using the Texas death match situation to, give a different type of match from the rest of the show, maybe, okay, because there wasn't a whole lot of hardcore throughout the show, so it did make the match a little different, a little variety. I get it. I wasn't overly thrilled with this match. And, it's so funny because, and we're going to talk about this on the next one when he faces Juice, but this whole idea that John feels this need to go back to his roots and still divulge into this hardcore stuff, I don't know, I'm just not big on it, to be honest with you. I didn't think the match was bad. I thought the match was really, really good. And I think John's really, really good at his fucking job, and I was thoroughly impressed by this new Lance Archer. I haven't had a chance to really see him perform in New Japan, so that was really, really cool. We move on to the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. This was the match that a lot of people told me, if you're going to buy the pay-per-view, it'll probably be for this match. Now, I would like to preface this by saying I'm not huge on Will Ospreay. I dig the fact that he incorporates a whole new evolved style, that he's a high-fly guy without needing to be a high-fly guy. Like, he's in a weird place when it comes to his particular style. But I will say this. The man makes money. The man's a genius with some of the stuff that he comes up with. He's innovative. He comes up with a lot of different things that gets people guessing, that gets people moving, and obviously gained a lot of fucking attention. He's one of the most talked about superstars. I do believe he won Wrestler of the Year this year in New Japan, which people, was it him or was it Shingo? One or the other, back and forth. I can't remember exactly. But he's up there. Even if he didn't win the actual award, he is up there. He's regarded as one of the best wrestlers in the world. Weight division be damned. Having said that, I just played both sides of the fence there because of the style, and I'm not big on the choreography, but at the same time, he's very, very popular right now and looked upon as one of the best in the world. Where do I stand on this match? I loved it. Believe it or not, I loved it. I thought it was a great contest. I am like everyone else. I refuse to be guilty of measuring Will Ospreay simply by the cuts. And what I mean by that is music videos and highlight videos, they don't show you wrestling like that. So it's very difficult to put a pulse on how good a guy, really truly is. just based on that. So when Will wrestles, obviously the cuts are going to be the flips and the dives and all the other stuff. You don't really get to see him incorporate those things into psychology, into the matches. And, to be honest with you, I've seen his matches before he went to New Japan, and I wasn't really overly impressed. I didn't see a whole lot of psychology. I just saw him doing a bunch of flip shit. And to be honest with you, I don't mind flip shit, but if that's all you can do, then I'm not interested. You lose me. And for a while, I thought that was all he was able to do. I haven't seen him in a full match in, I don't know, maybe a year, which I'm being told is a mistake because this might have been the best year of his entire career. And judging by this match that he just had here with Takahashi, I have to admit, yeah. I think he's much better. I enjoyed this match thoroughly. I saw the psychology. He did some of the flip stuff. His biggest thing, I think the thing that really bothers me sometimes about him is his technique, his footwork, his placement, his timing. He's so perfect it annoys me because it looks too clean. You understand what I'm saying? He's so good at what he does that it almost makes it look too clean, too polished. It makes it look like choreography because he's just always in the right place at the right time, always doing and saying the right things, and it gets kind of annoying. But take it for what it is. You watch this match. He's a fantastic wrestler and a fantastic performer, and for a guy his size, a fantastic athlete. Fantastic. This guy bumps his ass off and he sells like nobody's fucking business. His opponent, the challenger, I actually have a small history with Takahashi. He doesn't make many U.S. dates, but he actually did make one here in New York a few years back with House of Glory when I was there. I cannot remember for the life of me who it was who he wrestled, but I do remember him wrestling there, and I do remember calling the action. So I have called current IWGP light heavyweight champion or junior heavyweight champions matches here in the States. I can put that on the bucket list and some things I've accomplished. But he's a really awesome guy. The day that I only worked with him the one time, and very gracious, very humble, very nice individual. This was before the injury, by the way. Before he was gone for so long, he had a big injury. And before the injury, I got a chance to work with him, and he looks like he's in great shape now because him and Will Ospreay just tore the roof off the Tokyo Dome. That was a fantastic match. And I got to comment on the elbow. A lot of people giving him shit about that elbow. Keep throwing it, baby, because that elbow looks sick, but it also didn't look that unsafe to me. Especially the way that he threw it, the way that Takahashi sold it. I ended up going on YouTube, checking out some of the other times that he's thrown it. If you're okay with the V-trigger, you can't be mad at his elbow. It's landing in damn near the same spot, and he's throwing it as fast as the fucking V-trigger comes. Because that's the way that I always tell people. I've said it on this show before. I'll say it again. How do you sell a V-trigger? That depends on you. Because a V-trigger has one speed. Go. That's it. When you throw it, you throw it. It's up to the guy to know how to sell it. He's got to put your knee in just the right spot. It's the same thing with that elbow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, the elbow's to the back of the head, AJ. He can't see the elbow coming. He doesn't need to see it. As long as he's positioned his head perfect. If you tilt your head back with a lean back at an angle for that elbow, if you lean your head back, all the way back, you're going to get snuffed. There's no doubt about that. But, because he's going to throw it. So if you leave your head back, he's going to fucking throw it, and he's going to concuss you, okay? That's a fucking guarantee. That's what's going to happen. Now, if you stick your head up, but you got your head either straight or at a forward tilt, he can throw that back elbow sharp toward the head. At the very last second, you time it just right, you kick that elbow up. It's easy to hide the up because he extends his hand out. So you're focused on the hand. He throws the elbow, clap, and the arm extends out. So it looks like he follows through with the elbow. When really what he's doing with the extension is extending the elbow up. So essentially, even if he throws it straight, he's still hitting not the point of the elbow, but underneath on the side of the arm here. It's basically a nudge. That way he can throw it as hard as he wants. It's very similar to the V-trigger. V-trigger's coming in high and tight to the shoulder, damn near the neck. Again, that's where it's supposed to go. If you don't know how to sell one and you throw your shoulder in or whatever the case may be, you're going to get fucking creamed. So that's how those stiff things happen. So for the back elbow, I'm good with it. If I can feed properly to him, then he can throw it as hard as he wants and it won't kill me. If I feed incorrectly, then he's going to fucking knock me the fuck out. Anybody, doesn't matter how small a guy is, at his athleticism, his body mass, his strength, if he throws that fucking elbow hard enough, he'll knock a motherfucker out. It doesn't matter how big he is. So I'm good with the fucking elbow because I'm confident that I can give you just enough in my head for you to throw it as hard as you want. It's going to look good and I won't have a concussion. The only people who are afraid of the back elbow are people who can't fucking sell it. It usually tends to be the way for most special moves. We move on to our 2 matches here. The IWGP Intercontinental Championship being defended by Jay White, being accompanied, of course, with the man, Gato, against Tetsuya Naito. Naito, they did a very good job of painting Naito like this person who shouldn't have even been there. Like he barely scraped by to get in. He's the Jericho of this situation. You remember 2001 Vengeance when they did 2 matches for 2 championships and then did 1 match to combine the 2 belts. It's a very similar format here where they had Austin come in as WWF champion. The Rock came in as WCW champion. Steve would beat Angle to retain, much like Okada beat Ibushi. And then Jericho beat The Rock to become WCW champion, much like Naito beat Jay White. And then, of course, the 2 champions faced, in which Jericho would win, and I guess Naito in this situation would beat Jericho. Same exact format. It looked almost exactly the same. The only difference is they split up the matches between 2 nights, whereas Jericho had to do it all in the same night, not only in the same night, but consecutively together. So, Naito, obviously, tranquilo, baby. I'm a big fan of Naito. He's a good dude. I was talking to a few friends, but leading up to Wrestle Kingdom, I had a few friends tell me they were rooting for Naito on this one. I actually thought, and I guess we'll combine the 2 because we're getting short on time. We'll combine the 2. Okada was defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against the G1 Climax winner, Kota Ibushi. And the way that I had it in my head is I really felt like Ibushi was the one who should have been rewarded with that first victory. I can see Naito being the guy. I have no problem with that. Naito beats White. Naito beats Ibushi in the main event, becomes double champion. I think you can still do that. I think of the 4, the most protected and the most bulletproof guy in the match was Okada. And I just thought, even if Ibushi was IWGP Heavyweight Championship for a day, which is probably the reason why they didn't do it. So they didn't do that to him and say, here's the belt, now we're going to take it from you. It's probably why they didn't pull the trigger. But I think it was nice to have Ibushi in this situation in the first place, considering his loyalty. He didn't leave. He stayed. Everybody, and that happens a lot. Every time they have a mass exodus, people think that's it, Kota's gone, and he sticks around. So I thought, here we go. He's going to get the big reward. And at the end of the day, he did not. As a matter of fact, they did even worse to him. They made him 0-2, and we'll get to that in a second too. But our 2 major championships on the line here. Okada walks away with not only the most banging jacket on the planet, but the best fucking ring entrance I've seen in a long time, maybe ever. That ring entrance was ridiculously beyond dope. Just the way everything walked out with that screen and the hands and the Japanese lettering and Rainmaker and the whole deal. And man, he just feels like a fucking star. When you see Okada, he just feels like a fucking star. He feels amazing. He is absolutely 100% enjoyable to watch. He looks like a pro. He's a big guy who can do small guy things. He's amazing. When you watch him perform, it's a spectacle. It feels like a fucking main event. It feels like a big time heavyweight championship fight is about to take place whenever he comes out. He's so stoic. He's in the moment. He doesn't even look like he's rattled by the situation at all. He is in control of that entire fucking room from the minute he walks through the curtain to the moment he walks back through the curtain. That guy is a world fucking champion. And when people say, because I've seen this a few times, who's the best world champion in the world today? I've seen names like Cole and Rollins at the time anyway, when he was the champion. A lot of names coming up over and over and over and over. Okada is the best world champion in the world today. You know, he's the man. There's no doubt about that. I don't follow New Japan Pro Wrestling all the time. And I will tell you, he's the fucking man. This guy can make anybody look good in that ring. And that's not that's not a hard feat when it comes to this current matchup, when he's wrestling Kota Ibushi, who can literally wrestle a blow-up doll, and it looks fantastic. So you put these two together, and it's magic. Both of these matches were fantastic. I enjoyed both of them. I am a huge old-school wrestling fan. And these two matches were very old-school wrestling matches. I love the fact that during each entrance, for all four men, the commentating team was just rattling off big wins, big situations that they were in. They were doing a best of 2019 for every fighter that came in there. And it just sounded great. They made Naito look like an amazing underdog coming through to take on one of the company's biggest heels. He overcomes. That leads us to another sort of underdog story with Ibushi, just a young man trying to come up, and the grizzled vet trying to keep him down. There's so much going on in these two matches. They just feel like main events. There's one thing I have to discuss before I move on from night one. A buddy of mine by the name of Dave Bruno asked me a question. He had seen Wrestle Kingdom leading up to he had seen it live, I should say. And he didn't spoil it for me, but at the same time, he kind of gave me some insight to some stuff that happened in the show. And he had a question that he posed to me for the show. This was a question he wanted me to answer on the show, and I will. But first, January 24th, I have a big event going on, the Royal Rumble Roundtable, and I've got a little commercial for you guys to listen to give you some more information on that. So we'll be back in just a second. I'll answer the question when we get back and head into night two. Hey guys, you've heard me go live for my 100th episode, my 1-year anniversary, and of course, the infamous WrestleMania Roundtable. Well, January 24th, right around the corner, we are live yet again, and yes, another roundtable, but this time, it's that time of year. It is the Royal Rumble, and this is our annual Royal Rumble Roundtable discussion. We will be going live. That's right, we will be going live on Orsini's Uncensored Minds official Facebook page, January 24th, between 7 and 9 p.m. It's a real simple thing. All you need to do to join in on the conversation, join the roundtable yourself, is either enter in the Facebook chat or call in. That's right, get your voice heard by calling 609-910-0687. That is January 24th, 7 p.m. I cannot wait to hear you guys on that one. So my man Dave hits me up, and he says, hey, did you get a chance to see Wrestle Kingdom? I said, not yet. I'll be watching it sporadically throughout the week. He said, I have a question I want you to pose on the podcast and see if you can answer it for me. Okay? And let me go ahead and I'm going to pull it up directly so I can read it directly. Because I want to make sure that I get it right in what he's asking, because I'm going to be honest with you. It was quite a, I was actually kind of I wasn't expecting it, but here it is. Are we witnessing the death of the finisher? Back in the day, multiple finishers, and I mean actual finishers, not signature moves or whatever, were reversed for big matches. Taker versus Kane 1 comes to mind, but now it seems like any match can randomly require more than one finish to put away your opponent. Now, last night, it took a kind of 5 Rainmakers to put away Ibushi. And while I get it's a big match, it's still kind of nonsense, especially since the IWC shat all over it, taking Rollins' 4 curb stomps to beat Strowman, which is at least fitting because Braun is a monster. Ibushi, not so much. Here's the deal with that. So, there's a lot to break down with what he asked, so I'm going to break it down from the beginning. Are we witnessing the death of the finisher? That depends. My gut tells me no. And the reason why my gut tells me no is because we don't have to let that happen. There are measures in which we can take to prevent that from happening. There's a piece of me that says that it can't ever be completely safe again, because it's going to be hard to get everyone on board to do that one thing that's going to save everything. You understand what I'm saying to you? The one thing we would have to do to save finishes is basically stop false finishes with our finisher. And what I mean by that is protect your finish, which is, by the way, wrestling 101. And hardly anybody does it anymore, even at the highest level, to be honest with you. But I'm break down the other part here. Back in the day, multiple finishes were reserved for big matches. Taker versus King 1 comes to mind, but now it seems like it can hand them randomly. The fact that it can hand them randomly, I think, is the problem with the whole thing. That's the answer to your question, essentially. The fact that it happens randomly. If we take Okada versus Ibushi, two of the greatest professional wrestlers in the world, regardless of creed, color, sex, or country, okay? And we put them on the biggest stage, the Dome, in front of 40,000 people for the most important championship in that company's history and quite possibly one of the most historic championship belts in the history of the sport. You put them on with the lights on bright, the two of them mano a mano, one-on-one, one a tournament winner and one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. You put them in that bowl and you mix that fruit punch around. I can believe 5 Rainmakers. The problem with that is it doesn't come off as special because Joe and Doug from some hodunk town down in Mississippi decided it would be funny as fuck if they opened up the show with about 17 false finishes, 3 broken finishers, counters, all this other garbage, for, in a span of 11 minutes to open up some bullshit show that nobody went to. That's where the problem lies. So if you're going to ask me, are we seeing the death of the finisher? Only if the promoters and the bookers allow it to happen. Because that's one of the biggest problems too. A lot of guys have leeway when they really fucking shouldn't have it. There should be promoters in there and bookers in there. Bookers, not promoters. There should be bookers in there telling these guys what they can and can't do, what they should and shouldn't do. That's where the line of communication should be at. We shouldn't be allowing people to kick out of finishes, especially if your finish is something that somebody else does. Now that's hard. It's wrestling. Everyone pretty much has. There's a finite number of finishing moves. I get it, but I put it to you like this as an example. If you can get everybody in a room who executes a Death Valley Driver as a finish, right? Get them all in the same room, and get them all to agree. And from now on, we're not going to use more than 2 Death Valley Drivers on big matches and never execute more than just 1 on your regular matches. Give them 1 fallsy on 1 finish on a big show, and the rest of it, I'm not pulling that move out until I'm going to defeat this man. If we did that, the Death Valley Driver would be saved. We wouldn't see the death of it, because he would be protected. Fans would be conditioned to know that as soon as they see a Death Valley Driver, that's the fucking end right there. That guy's finished. That way, months, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, when that Death Valley Driver is executed again and the guy kicks out, that's a big fucking moment. This guy's a tough son of a bitch. He cannot be killed. That's how protecting finishes work. You can't just kick out of it willy-nilly because you think it's going to get you over. That's not how the fuck that works. So it'd be like, for instance, the Rainmaker clothesline in particular, since that's the example that we're using, 9 times out of 10 finishes the guys off. The only reason why it appears that Rainmakers don't seem to be that effective is because people usually only tend to pay attention to New Japan here in the States for the big shows. A larger casual audience only sees them on the big shows. And on the big shows, people kick out because it's a big show. They don't watch they only watch Okada the 4 or 5 times a year. They don't watch him the 300 other days where he's out there killing people with a Rainmaker clothesline. So it sends mixed signals. It gives you the impression like, well, he's not protecting his finish. These guys are kicking out all willy-nilly. They're not seeing the 50 opponents he laid out before that one kick out. So it's hard. You got to get promoters behind I keep saying promoters. You got to get bookers behind the idea of protecting finishes. When you book these matches out, you find out what the guys do. You build up to a crescendo. You give me a finisher. You give me a signature move. We'll use one of the signatures for the fallsy. That way, when we execute the finish, it's an actual finish. There's ways around this. There's method to madness. You got to find a guy who knows what he's doing. And stop letting the boys decide on their own. Because if they'll decide on your own, if you let anybody right now wrestle the way they want to wrestle, they're all going to be copying 2008, 2009 Ring of Honor and just doing a bunch of goofy shit. That's it. That's what it's going to be. So are we witnessing the death of the finish? Yeah, we don't have to be. Anyway, night 2, we're opening up with a tag match. Jushin Thunder Liger's actual last match here. He takes the fall. I love the fact that Fujiwara came out. That was pretty cool. This was obviously a much better showing for Liger because I think there were more athletes in the ring. I didn't get a chance to say the names. Give me 1 second here. All right, so Takahashi, who won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title the night before, teamed with Ryo Lee, and they defeated Jushin Liger and Naoki Sano. There you go. And, of course, Fujiwara was ringside for that. They let him do his speech, which had translation, which was awesome because I was able to take that ride with him. And I got to admit, I got a little misty-eyed. I said everything I had to say last week about Jushin Liger. So, we move on. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship defended here on this show as Bullet Club, Ishimori, and Phantasmo defend their titles against Roppongi 3K, Yo, and Sho, and they were accompanied to the ring by Rocky Romero. Ishimori's helmet, they called it a Shredder helmet, but when he first came out, it looked like a Predator helmet. I wasn't sure. Is it Predator? Is it Shredder? Is it aluminum siding? Is it the old used computer fan blades all glued together in some mache attempt at headgear? I wasn't sure. Looked cool. And Phantasmal jacket looked cool. They didn't look like they meshed. It was weird. The light up jacket and then the Predator helmet. I was like, all right. Okay, cool. This is another loss for Bullet Club. They did not do well on this show. They lost both tag titles in the course of 2 nights. This brought up, Roppongi came in 3-time Super Juniors winners, which I thought was a huge fact for that. This contest brought up a different argument with me because these were juniors. These were little guys. And I hear it all the time. Size shouldn't matter. It should be how good you are. It should be your skill. And to a degree, I agree. But I always say that people always say, well, Rey Mysterio, people always do this. Whenever you call, like Marco Stunt, right? They say, Marco Stunt's too small. And they go, well, they said the same thing about Rey Mysterio and Dean Malenko and blah, 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 blah. They said the same thing about them. Okay, right. But you know how those situations took place? They looked like wrestlers, which Marco does not. And they were exceptionally talented, which we don't know if Marco is just yet. He's still a kid, technically. He's very, very young in the business, and he hasn't quite cut his teeth yet, so we're not sold just yet as to how tough this kid really is. But, I mean, there is a difference between people who are little, who are trying to make it in this industry, and that have a legit shot. The bigger you are, the easier your road's going to be. There's always going to be money in size in pro wrestling. If you're going to be a little guy, you need to either be exceptionally talented or you've got to look the part. And one of the things that I took away from this tag match is all 4 of these guys, even Phantasmo to a degree, who might have been the least in shape of the 4, but was still extraordinary. Roppongi 3000, for instance, is chiseled out of granite. These guys look like professional wrestlers. They conduct themselves like professional wrestlers. They just look like badasses, and they're little guys. I'm probably bigger than all 4 of them. And that's not saying much because I don't think I'm that much bigger, but all 4 of the, like, if you're going to tell me that you're a little guy and you've got a fair shot, I got a shot. I'm talented. I can do this. You better hit the fucking gym, bruh, because these fucking guys right here, I'm going to be fucking honest with you, they looked great. This match was good. It was a little high speed. The moonsault into the back rake. Hello. These guys are fucking creative as fuck. This was fun. This was a fun match. It was different from the rest of the show because they kept that speed up. I guess it was the equivalent of the junior heavyweight from the night before. I was super impressed by this matchup. It was a great matchup to watch. They looked athletic. All their shit looked good. They sometimes were too fast, but they'd bring it back down. It worked itself out great. It was a really good match. The next match is one of the ones I had a problem with here because it literally says here, singles match for the British Heavyweight Championship. I was unaware that Rev Pro held the British World Heavyweight Championship. I thought there were more than one company in that country, and I don't recall Rev Pro getting the vote on being the undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. I thought they were going to call it the Rev Pro Championship, Revolutionary Pro World Title, but they called it the British Heavyweight Championship. I was so confused by that. I said, what the fuck does that even mean? Sonata looks fantastic, completely different from the TNA version that I remember. But again, I don't follow it, so I haven't seen much of him, but he has evolved fantastically. Fantastically. He looks great. Zack Sabre Jr. Boy, do I have a negative history with this fucking guy. Not a personal one. We've never had a chance to work with each other, but, I've caught some flack back in the day because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't get him. I don't get him. He's a fantastic shooter. He could stretch anybody. I get it. He's a fantastic wrestler. But he is the same. He reminded me so much of Dean Malenko. I used to have this problem back in the 90s. I would argue with people. Dean Malenko was a fantastic wrestler. He had the personality of a fucking stick of chalk. There was nothing interesting about the guy at all. Yeah, he's putting on great matches, but again, look who you're talking to. I need more than great matches. I need entertainment on a higher level than that. And Zack Sabre Jr. is a fantastic shooter. If he was here right now, he'd stretch me 3 ways from Sunday, and it wouldn't even be easy. It wouldn't be hard for him. I would say it would be easy. He probably wouldn't even sweat doing it. He's a fantastic athlete. I'm just not into him. That is it. That's it. I'm not into him. The cradles, the moving around, the counters, the shifting. What was it that they said about him in the Cruiserweight Classic? Who is this small child tying these people up? It's just, I'm not really big. I'm not really sold on Zack Sabre Jr. And I haven't been this whole time. This match didn't bring me any closer. Solid wrestling match. It was back and forth. Good pacing. It was a great match. The only reason I didn't skip it was, just to say that I watched it, because I wanted to be able to say, yeah, I watched all this. But if I wasn't reporting on the show for this match, I would have skipped it. Like I usually skip most of his matches. Not because I'm trying to be disrespectful. Different strokes for different folks, people. Okay? Speaking of which, the next match, singles match for the IWGP United States Championship, Jon Moxley, the champion now. Yesterday he was the challenger. Today he is champion, defending against the new IWGP World Tag Team Champion, Juice Robinson. It's all of a sudden you switch pace, and here you are with the Americans, and it's a different vibe. It's a different feel. I would assume, and I'm literally just assuming this, but if I'm from Japan and I see Americans coming in to perform on your stage, I would assume that those Americans would change their style up for us, because you're here. This is our house. So go out there and deliver basically an NXT match in the Tokyo Dome, which is not an insult. They had a really good match. Again, solid match, straight up, and it is what it is. I'm big on Jon Moxley as an entertainer, as a promo guy. We had a tale of two tapes here. Night 1 with the hardcore stuff. Night 2, we had no hardcore stuff, right? We had the straight up wrestling match. He can do both. It's funny because I actually do prefer him more and better as the wrestler. I'm not a big fan of Jon Moxley doing the hardcore shit. So if you're gonna ask me who did he have a better match with, Lance Archer or Juice Robinson, the match with Lance Archer is getting more pub because it was the hardcore deal. But to be honest with you, I enjoyed him and Juice Robinson a lot more than I enjoyed the other one. And that's not saying, again, that's not a knock. I enjoyed both matches. I just enjoyed this one a whole lot more. I like when they get in there and they just wrestle it out and they just, get through it all. It was a solid match. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. And then, of course, the confrontation at the end, Suzuki coming in, beating the shit out of Moxley, setting that bad boy up for a big upcoming show. I believe it's New Beginning. I don't have the date in front of me, but Moxley and Suzuki. Oh, somebody shared that exact flyer, that match card, and with a meme underneath. It's like, you want to see a dead body? Someone's going to get killed. Someone is going to get killed. I have one more question about this match before I move on. Death Rider or Paradigm Shift? Because I'm confused now. Because I watch AEW from time to time, and they call it a paradigm shift. And then here in New Japan, when he did it, they were calling it Death Rider. So I'm not entirely sure what we're going with here. There's two different names. I just want to know what I'm calling it. Especially if I'm a commentator. I guess I would ask him, what's the, sitch? What do you want me to do with that? And then figure it out from there. But if you're asking me between the two, which one do I prefer more, Paradigm Shift or Death Rider? I'm going to be honest with you. I like Paradigm Shift more. I think it fits to the gimmick more. Death Rider gives me a completely different tone. I don't know. It's weird. I'm not as big. I like Paradigm Shift. It sounds a lot better, a lot cooler, to be honest with you. Speaking of cool, our next match here is for the Never Openweight Championship. Kenta defeating against Hiroki Goto. I had a question when I was watching it because I don't know what the Never Openweight Championship is. I've seen it defended before. I've seen people who've held it. It's got a very prestigious prestigious list of guys. Shibata, Togi Makabe, Ishii. A lot of guys have won this championship in the past, and it's got a lot of prestige to it. And Kenta has it now, which to me says prestige as well. But I looked it up because I'd never, no pun intended. I've never heard of the Never title. All right, so I looked it up, and I have it right here in front of me. Never is an acronym of the terms New Blood, Evolution, Valiantly, Eternal, and Radical. The belt was literally designed for younger, up-and-coming talent, outside wrestlers not signed to the promotion. So this was an opportunity for someone to shine on their main cards who's not officially signed and maybe get some looks. Kenta is the champion. Not exactly young, up-and-coming. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't necessarily call him unsigned either. So I don't know how he fit into this, but it doesn't really matter to me because this was, if I have to pick, I'm going to be honest with you guys, this was my match of the entire 2-day process. I love this match, Kenta and Hiroki Goto. I have to admit, I love this match more than I love the main events, which is not saying much because I love the main events. Those are some great matches. But this match will hold a special place in my heart for a while because this match was a fucking fight. They beat the fuck out of each other in this match. They hit each other with every fucking thing imaginable. Every fucking thing imaginable. They just bonked each other over the fucking... They threw PKs and all kinds of fucking stiff open hands and slaps across. Oh my God, they beat the fuck out of each other. And all in the good name of pro wrestling in the big giant Tokyo Dome in front of 40, I think on this night was 30,000 screaming New Japan fans. That was amazing. There were a lot of great matches on both cards. This was a fight. And I enjoyed this fight. And to be honest with you, I'm very, very excited to see where this Kenta thing goes. I'm not big on the Go to Sleep Club. I saw that on the shirt. Not big on that. But I would also like to address another question that was posed to me. People are coming up to me and asking me, do you think the WWE left money on the table not keeping Kenta around as Hideo Itami? Was that money left on the table? Did they give up too soon on him? He looks fantastic. He looks great. Should they have kept him around? No, they should not have kept him around. And the reason for that is because it didn't work. He didn't fit there. They didn't know how to use him. It didn't work. He's home now. He's with a company that knows exactly how to use him, and he's going to get over. He's going to be happy again. I don't think he would have been happy in NXT. I don't think he would have been happy in the WWE. Now I know that the rumor mill still hits that Finn Balor win at Beast in the East when he won the NXT title from Kevin Owens was supposed to be Hideo Itami. There's no doubt about that. They were going to give him the big push. That's why they put him in the WrestleMania Battle Royal and had the camera crew following him around. They wanted to use him, but he could not stay healthy. Bit by the injury bug. That's what did him in. Nothing else. It wasn't wasted money. It wasn't wasted opportunity. It was just the way the cards were dealt. That's it. Bad timing all around. Our next match, at first on paper, I was concerned. I felt this match was a lose-lose. We had the two losers from the main event the night before. We had Jay White against Kota Ibushi one-on-one. And I thought this was lose-lose. That was my initial reaction when I saw this booking, because you take two guys, one of which was a champion just the night before, the other one the G1 Climax winner, and they're both competing for essentially bronze. And I just thought that was weird, because these are two very, very important people to the process, high up on the card. Why would you put either of these two guys to be in a position where they would be literally, quote, 0-2 on the biggest night in New Japan history? Because now someone's walking away a double champion. So on paper, this is the greatest night New Japan's ever had, and you're going to make one of these stars who are very important to your future 0-2. And I just thought, man, what a bad position you're putting your talent in. But I got to see the booking. Not just night one, but how it bled into night two. And I got to say, brilliant fucking idea. Brilliant. Okada needed to be the one to drop the belt to Naito. There's no doubt about that. So we had to get through Ibushi. And you're thinking to yourself, man, so we got Okada there to lose at the expense of Ibushi. That doesn't make any sense. No, it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Because Kota Ibushi, believe it or not, he's still extremely young. And like I said, loyal to a T. He will get his moment. He will get his moment. And I was saying night one, I thought Okada was the bulletproof one. So he could have sustained the loss. And I said earlier, I thought Ibushi would have been rewarded. And I may still be right. I just don't think he obviously wasn't rewarded at this Wrestle Kingdom. But I think the favors that he did on that night, not only putting Okada over one last time the night before to give Naito his moment, that's a sacrifice right there, but to help Jay White keep his heat in the midst of a huge Titanic loss to Naito the night before, which would have derailed the momentum of almost anybody else. But Jay White is a fantastic performer, looks great, he can go with anybody, and he's a fantastic asset to the company. Kota Ibushi, in one foul swoop, did favors for Okada, he did favors for Naito, and he did favors for Jay White. He is going to be figured in from now on. This guy just sacrificed his whole Wrestle Kingdom life. You can see it in his face with the post-show promos, where he was just deciphering how to even accept these losses and how he's going to continue to move forward and push forward. That's sympathy, baby. You can't buy that kind of compassion. Those promo packages leading up to his eventual title win are going to be fucking ridiculous. This was sympathy on another level. You know, you had four guys go into this circumstance of double champion, and you know one of them's going to lose, and you know one of them's going to go to 0-2, and there's so many different figures that go into place or go into play, and you've got to book this just right so that you don't hurt any of the four, and they did exactly that. Kota came out a much more sympathetic person, because where does he go from here? He won the G1, and only to have him go not 0-1, but 0-2. That's a lot of sympathy there. Naito gets his big moment as the big win. Okada puts over yet another young talent and passes the baton for yet another year. Jay White walks out with a nice amount of heat based on his beatdown of, you know, one of their favorite pro wrestlers in Kota Ibushi. It worked out perfectly. And it was so good the way that they put that together. So I was extremely happy about that. Plus, when it comes to this match between Jay White and Kota Ibushi, I noticed something else. I noticed that Jay White likes to talk that shit. He's very audible during his matches. And not like calling spots, but he's just talking general shit. He is just talking shit, fucking with people. It was hilarious. To an extent. After a while, I was like, oh, please don't let him do this the whole fucking match. And he didn't, but it was getting awfully close. But I love the fact he was telling Kota, they don't love you anymore. They don't support you anymore. Your people have turned their backs. He was shooting heel promos on this guy whilst he was beating his ass. It was hilarious. By the way, I've got 2 matches left, and I know I spoke a lot about the main event match already, and so it won't take that long. But I want to go back real quick to Okada and Ibushi from the first show. from the first show. I want to go back to that because there was a spot. I'm going to look it up right here. 18 minutes in. Okay, 18 minutes into this match, if you get a chance, there is a spot where Ibushi does a backflip where he's supposed to catch Okada by the neck with his feet. So he backflips into it. And Okada was way too far. And Ibushi does the backflip, lands directly on his fucking skull. Now, Okada caught up to him just in time to where he didn't have to put too much weight on his neck, so he really didn't get hurt. I don't even think he was dazed by it. But he landed so awkwardly, and then Okada picked him up, and they went into their next spot, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I cringed as soon as I saw him do the moonsault, because all I saw was his weight drop to the fucking ground. I cringed when I saw that. And then, when I went to watch it again, because I have to watch that spot twice, I noticed something hilarious. If you go back and you watch that match 18 minutes in, right? He goes for the moonsault. He does the big flip over, lands in his head. Right at the point of impact when he lands on his head, I looked over at the referee, Red Shoes. He was so animated throughout that night. He's a very good referee. He sells for the guys. He puts things over really good. He has his fair share of emotion. He didn't fucking budge. He didn't move. There was no cause for concern whatsoever when Ibushi landed on his fucking head. It's like one of those deals where he's been in the ring for so long, he's seen it all. So unless it's something unless it's something that he's supposed to know or see coming so he can sell it, he don't sell shit. This nigga, he fell right on the top of his goddamn head and Red Shoes didn't move one fucking inch. It was hilarious. I was crying when I saw it. He gave zero fucks to Ibushi's fucking neck or life, for that matter. And maybe because he just doesn't respect him as a person. I don't know what the hell that's about. But he didn't fucking budge. Okay, speaking of having a hard time budging, the two aces, Chris Jericho and Hiroshi Tanahashi, meet for the very first time in the Tokyo Dome. I have to say the cliche line of the stipulation, should Tanahashi win, he is going to get an opportunity at the AEW championship at a future date. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. So that is the next match that we're going to discuss. So Jericho and Tanahashi get together, and there's an opening spot right where Jericho hits a flex on him, and everything starts moving on his body the way that it shouldn't. And a photo started making its rounds around the internets, and believe it or not, Jericho being taken to task here about his physique and about everything going on. Now, let's just talk about the match for just a second. It was a solid match. This was a really good match, considering the two guys. Jericho 49, Tanahashi 43. So that's about 92 years on this earth between the two of them. These guys have been doing this for a long time. They've been Jericho right now is the cornerstone for his company. Tanahashi has always been the cornerstone of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So these guys went in there and they had a great matchup. You see a guy like Jericho standing next to a guy like Tanahashi. It's like, what went wrong? Tanahashi still looks like a bronze god. Such fantastic shape. It wouldn't take much of an effort to beat the shit out of literally anyone around him. He just looked magnificent. And Jericho was just all disheveled. I don't know what happened there. Who's going to tell him no? We're going to get to that in a second. Let's wrap up here with that last match. Main event, IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship on the line. We all know by now who won this. Double Gold Dash. Double Gold Dash. Naito pulls away with this one. Fantastic match. Great storytelling. Okada's just the man. You put him in there with anybody, he'll look good. Naito just happens to be one of the best in the world as well. So that was magic. They had great communication. You could tell they'd been here before. And this was really, 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 really good. I spoke a little bit already about that when I was discussing the Intercontinental Championship match. So not much more to say about that. By the time I got to this match, I was exhausted. About 14 main event matches, 2 straight nights of action that it took me longer than 2 nights to actually watch all of it, to be honest with you. It took up pretty much my week, but I enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, I walked away with a better feel after this Wrestle Kingdom than I did the last time. The last time I watched it, I guess because I watched it all the way through live and it was so late in the morning and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. This time around, I watched the last match, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was still fresh. So I'm thinking maybe, I do have the description. I do have the subscription, so I might be able to check out some more stuff and look around and maybe pay a little bit more attention to the New Japan stuff as we move forward. They got a big show coming up, New Beginnings, and we might be able to check into that and see what we got going on for that. I'm going to go back to Jericho and Tanahashi for just a second. We are done reviewing the matches and going over some of the finer points that I attained over the course of watching it. But I'm going to end this episode with this. So Jericho and Tanahashi went out there, had a pretty decent match, okay? And as tradition, all the wrestlers go to the interview area, the media area. They shoot, some last-minute promos or whatever. Jericho set his title belt down and proceeded to make a few comments. Now, I am being told, or I was told leading up to it, I cannot play the audio. But I do have the exact quote that was written out. So I'm going to read exactly what Chris Jericho said. Okay, this is how he said it verbatim. So here we go. Put aside all hurt feelings, put aside all the egos, put aside all of the issues and politics, and concentrate on great wrestling matches and big business. I haven't been doing this at the highest of levels for 29 years as what some people say the greatest of all time because I'm a stupid businessman. I can see the amount of money that we could make together with AEW and New Japan, both here in Japan and in the United States, in Canada, in England, in Australia, too soon, Chris, and all around the world. So even though I beat Tanahashi tonight, I would be more than willing to wrestle him again anytime, and I'd be willing to give him an AEW title shot. And Okada, and Naito, and Suzuki, and Ibushi, and Ospreay. They just started naming a bunch of fucking names. But that's the quote. So the important takeaway, obviously, from that is hurt feelings and egos. What he is hinting at is there's a lot of controversy and, to be honest with you, unnecessary rumor because no one really knows. The talk, the rumor mill, the scuttlebutt is that the Elite left New Japan in a not so cool way, and it caused some hurt feelings and burned a few bridges, and New Japan, both sides, New Japan and the Elite, holding some ill will over the other, right? Each specific person with their own reasoning and yada, 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 yada. We don't know how the hell that all went down, and quite frankly, I don't give a shit how it all went down. My thing about it is this. Put aside egos, that's what he said. He said, put aside hurt feelings, put aside egos, and put aside issues in politics to concentrate on great wrestling matches and big business. I'm sorry. Some things are bigger than that. Your character as a person, your morality, your ethics, those are things that I hold dear to me. And I'm sorry, but some of that is bigger than business, and some of that is bigger than having a few good wrestling matches. I don't know what went down, but apparently it was enough to piss off both sides. Nobody waved that Japanese flag as an American harder than the Elite did. And New Japan clearly believed in all of these guys because they pushed them to the moon. Cody being U.S. champion, Kenny obviously ascending all the way up to IWGP heavyweight champion, the Bucks multiple time IWGP tag team champions, both heavy and junior. Okay, there's been a laundry list of accolades for the Elite through New Japan and a laundry list of money being printed out due to the Elite. So they've had business relationships in the past. So if they're at a point where either or both are unhappy with the other, then it must have been some horrible shit. It must have been some horrible shit. And even the Young Bucks responded to the criticism. Oh, he was just saying that to work him up. There's no doors open to New Japan. They don't. The level of petty is strong here. These guys don't want to do this shit. And to be honest with you, there's really no fucking need for either of them to fucking do it anyway. And I want you to hear me out on this. New Japan's fine by itself. AEW is fine by itself. They don't fucking need to do that. They don't need a relationship. They would just do really, really, really fucking well if they did. But it's not a necessity. This isn't something either of them are really clamoring for. So for us to sit here and push and prod and try to find our way into why this hasn't even begun to happen yet, it doesn't really matter, because a healthy relationship doesn't include any toxic people, okay? The one person on the relationship is super, super confident about themselves and got everything together, and the other person have to be in the same position so that when they meet up and become one, it becomes great. If you have one with heavier needs than the other, shit falls apart. Okay, everyone said that NXT jumped the ratings because they brought in main roster guys. Okay, well, if AEW brought in New Japan guys, where do you think that rating winds up? Which is my overall point about this. Neither company needs to do a fucking thing. They don't have to sign anybody. New Japan has already had one succubus suckling at the teat. They don't need to stick around and do this shit with anybody else, to be honest with you. And AEW has a litany of fucking problems that it needs to go through to fix itself fast before it starts, work on yourself, baby, before you bring a girl into your relationship, baby. Work on yourself. Stabilize yourself first. Okay, yes, there's some big business to be had because AEW and New Japan on paper does sound like they would have a lot of similarities and a lot of business to be done between the two. But your negatives, your cons, will far outweigh your pros, and they will eat away at you, and it will not be a good relationship, and you'll burn that bridge yet again. So you need to work on yourself first. AEW was in a position right now where it needs to fix itself. It needs something a little different. It needs to do something. And that's a conversation for another day. Hopefully, we'll get into that sometime next week because I'll be caught up in some of the weekly stuff, and we'll be getting into that. So that is my discussion here about Wrestle Kingdom 14. I had fun watching this show. I had a great time actually watching the show whenever I could, slipping in. I was slipping in all these different matches here and there just so I couldn't do it all in one sitting, obviously. So I was slipping them in every chance that I got. I got them on my phone. Wrestle Kingdom on my phone. How fucking awesome is that, right? I got all kinds of shit going on. So this is episode 123. Wrestle Kingdom is now in the books. We get ready for the Royal Rumble down the line. Live show coming up. I'm super excited about that. I already played for you guys the Royal Rumble thing. I'm going to play it again for you. And then I have another commercial after that. So we're going to play all that shit for you there, just so you guys can be up to date on some of the stuff here at Orsini's Uncensored Mind. So I want to take this time to let you guys know, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for sharing. And of course, thank you for enjoying episode 123. Hey guys, you've heard me go live for my 100th episode, my 1-year anniversary, and of course, the infamous WrestleMania Roundtable. Well, January 24th, right around the corner, we are live yet again, and yes, another roundtable, but this time, it's that time of year. It is the Royal Rumble, and this is our annual Royal Rumble Roundtable discussion. We will be going live. That's right, we will be going live on Orsini's Uncensored Minds official Facebook page, January 24th, between 7 and 9 p.m. It's a real simple thing. All you need to do to join in on the conversation, join the roundtable yourself, is either enter in the Facebook chat or call in. That's right, get your voice heard by calling 609-910-0687. That is January 24th, 7 p.m. I cannot wait to hear you guys on that one. AJ Orsini here, and I am the host of Orsini's Uncensored Mind every Saturday night, 9 p.m. And I gotta tell you, when I first started this podcast way back when, I didn't know where it would go. I didn't know where this would take me, but I am proud to tell you that this has been a committed weekly episodic podcast for the last 2 years and running. It's been downloaded in over 30 countries with several thousand downloads to its name. All people need to do is head over to ajoum.podbean.com and they are blasted with some audio pro wrestling goodness. Now, I have had great experiences in the past with sponsors, and I'm looking for more. As a matter of fact, I could be looking for you. So if you would like to get your business information out there to the masses, to the fans, to the squad of O, all you need to do is send me an email over to ajorsini96host@gmail.com. We are ready to do business.
100
100 episodes, now pay him.
And make sure that you buy my husband's t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/AJOUM. Please, he needs this.
Listen to my daddy show. He's the best, so I don't know.